He is born screaming into the cold, which is rude, because the cold was already doing an excellent job. A narrow fjord in western Norway, late 9th century. His mother wraps him in wool that smells faintly of sheep and smoke, and his father takes one look at the baby's skinny arms and says nothing. In a land where even the goats look like they're reconsidering life choices, a weak child is a bad investment. They name him Eirik not because it's special, but because half the men in the village are named Eirik and no one is feeling creative. His cradle is a wooden box near the hearth. His lullaby is the wind screaming down the fjord. It's like it's personally offended by existence. Food is the first lesson of his life, or rather, the lack of it. Thin barley porridge. Dried fish so hard you could use it as a weapon. When the winter is bad, and winters are always bad, people start counting mouths. Babies who don't thrive mysteriously stop crying. Eirik survives mostly out of spite. By 5, he's small but wiry. By 7, he knows how to gut a fish without nicking the intestines. Which is important, because spoiled fish can kill you faster than an angry Saxon. By 10, he's rowing. Not well. Just enough to be yelled at. Rowing is not heroic. No skald writes poems about it. It is hours of pulling wet wood through colder water while your shoulders burn in your hands. Blister, and the man behind you complains that you're out of rhythm. Eirik learns rhythm quickly, because the alternative is getting hit with an oar. His father is a quiet man, missing 2 fingers from an incident involving an axe and a disagreement over land. He smells of tar and salt. One evening, while repairing a longship, he tells Eirik the truth of their world. Land is scarce, winters are cruel, and younger sons get nothing but hunger. The sea, however, is wide and full of opportunities or death. Statistically, mostly death. At 12, Eirik watches a raiding crew depart. 30 men, shields painted red and black, iron helmets glinting in weak sunlight. They come back months later richer, louder, and missing one man who no one mentions again. They bring silver, silk, and stories of fat monasteries guarded by men who pray instead of fight. That night, Eirik decides his future will not involve starving politely in a fjord. At 14, he is tall enough to be useful and light enough to fit on a bench without complaint. He signs on as an oarsman, not a warrior, not yet, an engine. Human horsepower. The longship smells like pine resin, wet wool, sweat, and fear. 32 oars. 32 men. If one slacks, everyone knows. If one vomits, everyone pretends not to notice. The sea does not care if you are tired. Days blur together. Row, eat, row, sleep, row. Salt sores split his lips. His hands crack and bleed, then harden into something closer to leather. He learns to read the moods of the steersman and the weather by how the waves slap the hull. Storms arrive like bad decisions, sudden and unforgettable. The first time they raid, Eirik does not fight. He holds the ship steady, while others run screaming into a coastal village. He hears shouting, crying, the dull sound of wood splitting. He feels sick, then ashamed of feeling sick. When they leave, smoke curls into the sky, and Eirik realizes something unsettling. The village looked a lot like his own. No one asks how he feels. They hand him silver. It is heavy, real. It buys food. Guilt does not. By 18, he has scars. A shallow cut on his forearm from a Frankish spear. A broken nose that healed crooked. He laughs louder now. Eats more. Rows harder. The sea has carved weakness out of him. He learns rumors while crossing waters. A river so wide it carries ships inland for weeks. A city where gold hangs from churches like ripe fruit. Paris, the men speak the name with reverence and hunger. The old ones mutter about Frankish kings paying silver just to make Vikings leave. Imagine that, Eirik thinks. Paid not to kill you, civilized. One winter, famine hits the fjord again.
And so, with a
Eirik
mighty
comes home
roar,
with silver
the dragon
and finds
soared
3
into the
houses
starlit
empty.
sky,
People gone.
never to be seen
No
again in
funerals.
our lands.
Just absence. His mother is thinner. His father's hair is white now. That spring, Eirik does not hesitate when the call comes. He is no longer just an oarsman. He carries a shield now. still rows. Of course, everyone rows, but he stands in the shield wall when needed. He knows how to kill quickly because slow killing is dangerous and inefficient. The journey south is long.
Oh, this
Rivers
stew is
replace
too
open
salty.
sea.
Yeah.
Towns grow
Mine's
bigger.
perfect.
Resistance
You're just
grows
picky.
smarter. Arrows fly. Friends fall. They push onward anyway, driven by hunger, pride, and the simple fact that turning back would mean admitting this was all a terrible idea. As they approach the Seine, Eirik hears bells. Church bells. Paris is close, and for the first time in his life, gold he was promised does not feel like a myth. Paris does not look like a city. It looks like a challenge. Stone walls rise from the riverbanks like someone dared the Vikings to try harder. Towers bristle with men who have learned, finally, that praying alone is not a defense strategy. The Seine is clogged with ships, Frankish, Viking, wrecked, burning, drifting. Smoke hangs over the water thick enough to chew. Eirik rows anyway. Rowing upriver is worse than the sea. The current fights back. The banks funnel arrows like they're on a schedule. Men slump forward on their benches and don't get back up. The steersman shouts until his voice breaks. No one slows. They beach the ships near the city. The fighting is chaos mud, blood, screams in languages no one bothers to understand. Eirik's shield splinters. His arm goes numb from blocking blows. He kills a man wearing a cross who looks about his own age. That bothers him more than it should, so he stops thinking about it. Paris does not fall. Instead, it negotiates. Frankish nobles arrive, pale and furious, offering silver to make the Vikings go away. Eirik watches chests being dragged to the riverbank, heavy enough to bend wood. He laughs when he realizes it's real. Not plunder. Payment. Civilization at its finest. The silver is divided. Eirik gets more than he ever dreamed possible. Enough to buy land. Enough to buy respect. Enough to make the fjord seem very far away. On the journey home, he rows with gold at his feet and stiffness in his joints he's never felt before. Victory, it turns out, weighs more than defeat. He returns north a different man. He builds a better house. Marries, has children who complain about food while eating better than he ever did. He tells stories at feasts, leaving out the screaming parts. He rows less, drinks more, watches younger men take his place on the benches. Years pass. The sea keeps calling. Eirik answers a few more times, smaller raids. Safer routes, but his body remembers every winter, every stroke of the oar. His shoulders ache when the weather turns. His hands shake when gripping a cup. One spring, he knows he won't go again. His eldest son rows now, strong, loud, convinced he is immortal. Eirik watches him leave and feels something twist in his chest that has nothing to do with age. When death comes, it is not heroic. No blade, no battle. Just a cough that deepens, breath that shortens, and a quiet understanding that the tide is going out. They lay him on a small boat. Not a grand ship, he was important. Not legendary, but enough. His shield, his sword, a little silver. His oar, smoothed by decades of hands. The tide carries him away from the fjord, out toward the open sea. Fire catches. Smoke rises. The boat shrinks to a flicker, and nothing. A man who began life starving ends it, surrounded by the one thing that never failed him, the sea.